One power, isn't that beautiful? That was written by Daniel Nimad, who used to sing for me in my San Diego ministry, and is an amazing New Thought songwriter, and you just bring it alive, Fleet. Our theme for the month of March, Invisible Acts of Power. And this is a book by Carolyn Mays, and the energy of the invisible that is always supporting us, whether we are consciously aware of it or not. And what I love about our way of life is that at every moment we can recreate our experience, that we are always growing and evolving. And it doesn't matter how long we've been on the planet or how long we've been in the ministry, every single day is an opportunity to grow, to evolve, to expand, to be all that we can be. Because as long as we are here, guess what? We got work to do, right? We've got work to do. And of course, those of us who have, I've been in the ministry 46 years this year in June. And what I know is that I am the greatest benefactor of doing this sacred service. And when we realize that we are the benefactors, we're growing, and everything that overflows from our consciousness to our students, to all those that come to hear us in the 46 years of my ministry. And it's just a joy that we have social media and Facebook. I have people on my Facebook, in my Facebook community, that were in the ministry I founded 46 years ago in the Santa Clarita Valley. And they used to be called Churches of Religious Science, the laws of science, the opinions of philosophy, the revelations of religion applied to human need, and the aspirations of every living soul. And the name was changed because there was a lot of confusion about religious science. It was mostly with Scientology. So they changed the name to Centers for Spiritual Living. And in 1989, I went independent and started the Center for the Celebration of Life, an independent ministry in San Diego, and then moved on. And here I've been in the Coachella Valley almost 20 years, September 1st. So it's been an absolute joy. So when we look at our ground of being, these invisible acts of power, and today's topic is absolutely perfect. It's grace, intuition, and power. And but for that grace, that energy, that all things have been given unto us through the grace of God. All things, think about it. All things have been given unto us through the grace of God. That we don't have to do anything. We don't have to work and try to earn grace. Through the grace of God, it is there for us. And it's there because by right of consciousness, we entered the planet. And we entered the planet as spiritual beings, right? Having a human experience. And the opportunity that we have every single day of our lives to be still and know that I am God. This is the still small voice of intuition and the stillness. And how many of us have, we've got the intuitive voice. It's there. It's very, clear. And then we do something else because what happens? The linear mind comes in and is very logical and very methodical. And we go in that direction of the mental rather than the spiritual. And how many of us have ever said, if I'd only listened to my intuition? I mean, this is a chant. It's a universal chant. If I'd only listened to my intuition. Now, I love what Dr. Ernest Holmes said. He said, we have one of two ways to learn our lessons. One is through intuition, the still small voice, be still and know that I am God. And the other is bitter experience. And most of the time, it is, he said, the latter, L-A-T-T-E-R. Most of the time, it's bitter experience. Because the human ego does what the human ego does best. And that's listening to itself rather than the still small voice of God. And the directive here is be still. That is the universal directive. Be still. And what? Know. Because we come in with this knowingness. And once we get it, not even the gates of hell shall prevail against us. We know that we know that we know. And when we have that, we get it. We are on the path. And once put your foot on the path, you will always be on the path. It's 6:30 on the evolutionary clock. And once it hits 6:30 on the evolutionary clock, there's no going back. It's 6:29, 6:20. We can, maybe go back. Once it's 6:30 on the evolutionary clock, there is no going back. We are pulled to the energy of spirit. And at 12 o'clock, that energy blossoms and blooms and expands and explodes into greater awareness, greater energy, and the aliveness that we are in the world, but not of it. We're here to make a difference, not just to make a living. And when we get it, that we are here to make a difference, it doesn't matter what we do. I go to the grocery store and there's this one gal and she's just fabulous. And she's greeting everybody and she's blessing everybody and bless you, honey. And, she's just so full of energy and light. And I remember that there was someone in front of me and her basket was just full. Now this was 15 items or less, and I'm kind of on a schedule here. And she's just got her basket full of stuff. And I'm trying not to count it, but I stopped at like 30. And I just like to breathe through it, you'll get where you're going. It's all unfolding. It's all in divine timing. And so, she pulls up and she puts her stuff, on that little counter, the movable counter for the movable feast. And this gal says, "Hi, honey, which 15 items do you want me to put here in the cashier? What do you want me to ring up? Which 15 items? The rest you can go down to the other. So she did 15 items and she turned around and she went down to the other cashier. I loved it. I thought, wow. And she did it in such a way that, there was laughter, there was energy. It wasn't like, putting her down and shaming her, because we live in a very shame-based culture, don't we? She made it fun. And so these are the enlightened souls. And if they're at the cash register or in the day when, we were coming into the world of maturity, people actually used to pump our gas. Imagine that. What a concept. Actually used to pump our gas. And the gas station attendants, were wonderful and so full of service and light and energy. And now it's kind of a do-it-yourself culture. But when we have the graciousness and the energy, and that energy of grace that comes through is generosity, doesn't it? The generosity of spirit. When you're going through a door, someone opens the door for you so that you can move through. I love that. And I accept it as a gift. And when we accept these things as gifts, well, guess what? We expand on this energy. And more good comes to me. And my declaration in the morning when I'm setting the tone is only good flows to me because only good flows from me. And that we can enhance on that energy. Now, one story that is just amazing is about, we used to go to Mexico and the little boys, they would, clean our windshield and they would want a donation, and I was always happy to do that. But I heard of in New York City, because of the backed up traffic, that the little boys, the street urchins, go out and they clean the windows, and then, they would like to have some sort of reciprocity in the form of financial support. And this one young boy went up and he started cleaning the windshield of a woman and then said, "Do you have something for me?" And she goes, "Look," and she lied, all the way through. "My husband's out of work. We don't have any money. No, I can't give you anything." Now she's got her son in the back seat, and so he goes around, and the son has the window down. He goes, "Do you have any money for me, for food?" And the little boy kind of looks at the mother and she says, "I told you my husband is out of work. I have no money for you." So he goes up to the window and he reaches in his pocket, takes all the change he has out of his pocket and gives it to her and says, "You really need this more than me. You have a child and a husband out of work. You need this more than me." And this young street urchin gives her all his change. If we want to talk about a moment of grace, a moment of energy that moves beyond what is being demonstrated at the moment and sees through this appearance. Well, you can just imagine how she started backpedaling. She was just, lying about her husband. And so she said to her son, don't take any of the change. Then she got it into her purse and she began giving him some money out of her own shame. So interestingly enough, unless we become as a little child, the Bible states, we shall not see the kingdom of God. That kingdom of God lives and moves and has its being at the center of our one life, which is God's life, which is our life, which is the center of the universe. And that act of generosity, and he did it out of the energy of love. And what I love about children, there's an innocence about them, whether they're the street urchins that are out there that need our love and support, and how we as a nation treat our homeless. And I never pass a homeless person that I don't give them something. And I just feel that not for their, but for the grace of God go I. But am I my brother's keeper? No. I am my brother. I am my sister. We are one. This oneness moves beyond color, race, creed, sexual orientation, and political affiliation. So when we look at invisible acts of power, and I research extensively, and I share with my group, different things that have happened in my ministry. I've had the most unique ministry of any minister I know. I truly have in my 46 years. I mean, I flew to Chicago, so a man who he was a bank controller, stole $650,000 from the Albany Bank in Chicago. I flew with him so that I urged him to surrender to the FBI, and he did. There was a whole scenario that flowed out of that, and there was healing. And there are other situations that have occurred that have come out of my willingness to travel the world over as the president of the International Foundation for World Peace and Research. And I was sharing with my group here that one night I was teaching in San Diego, and I would go to the spa afterward. And so they were open till like midnight. So it was really great. I could get there at 10 and, I could do the whole spa thing and swim and just let go and let God do what God does best by means of me. And so I completed about midnight, and I was on the 163 bridge. And as I'm rounding the corner, there's the bridge, and here's the 163. It's very beautiful. It's Balboa Park and the San Diego Zoo, and there was a great environmental coalition to preserve 163 with all its greenery. They wanted to widen it, if you remember that. So there was a great coalition to preserve the environment and the beautiful, beautiful energy of the plants and the trees going through 163. And as I'm coming along and make the curve on the bridge, a young man gets up there and he jumps. And he jumps onto the freeway. I immediately pull over. I grab, my mother-in-law had made me an Afghan years before. I grab the Afghan. I put it over him and I say, I am Dr. Sharron Stroud. I am a minister and I am going to just know the truth for you. And he was wreathing in pain. He was alive, wreathing in pain. At that moment, another car pulled in behind me, got out, said, I'm a doctor. At that moment, another car got out. She got out. She said, I'm a nurse. So here, after midnight on the 163, and there was no traffic coming through, it was like this amazing moment where the energy of Brigadoon just lifted us up and put us in another field of time where time stopped. And so the doctor has, tourniquets, and he's got his bag, and he's given him a shot of I'm sure something for the pain, and he's breathing, and the nurse is doing her thing, and, I'm holding him in my arms, saying there's one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, and that life is your life right now. You are powerful beyond all expression. You just jumped from this bridge up here, You landed, you're alive, you created a minister, a doctor, and a nurse. You're supposed to be here. And at that moment, the ambulance came, they got him in, and I said, you keep that Afghan, you know, that's a security blanket for you. It's filled with love. And I thought, if we look, you know, in all my research, and I do a lot of research for every Sunday presentation, I have never come across a story that I participated in, no less, greater than this invisible act of power that allowed this young man to live through jumping off a bridge and creating a minister, a doctor, and a nurse. I mean, this is profound beyond belief. And in that moment, to know that there is a destiny to fulfill, that your life matters. How many of us have felt like jumping off the bridge? Well, many of us have in our lifetimes. And something has happened. Someone extended kindness. Someone gave us shelter. Someone acknowledged who we were in that moment. And it shifted everything. I remember listening to Lori Davis, who has the Lori Davis Show, and I was on her show for, it was about suicide and people who had experienced family members and loved ones who had committed suicide. And as you know, I was raised in domestic violence, and my sister committed suicide. She took her own life. So I was sharing out of the aspect of it's so sudden, it's radical severance. And it takes a great adjustment because you don't feel like there's completion. But when I was meditating in my office, which was in Mount Helix, and it was separate from my home. I bought an old adobe estate in Mount Helix, and the office was separate. It was in the back. And I had just counseled someone, and I was in this kind of twilight zone. And I had my sister's ashes on a little altar because the following Sunday was Easter, and we were going to take her ashes, and we were going to go out to the pier, and we were going to spread her ashes, which we did. And she came to me in a visitation. This is not a dream. I was in kind of a twilight zone. I wasn't quite in this world, and I wasn't quite in the next world. I was in the kind of in-between limbo twilight zone. And she came to me, and she said, "Oh, Sharron, I'm just so sorry for everything. You know that I love you." And I said, "And I've always loved you, Janet. And of course, I accept, and I know that you were not at yourself during," and she was very addicted to alcohol. And she said, "I understand everything now. I understand everything now in my light body." And as quickly as she came, you know, to offer love and forgiveness of herself, she disappeared and left me with that amazing message. I understand everything now in my light body. And when we understand that the veil is very thin, but that when we're here to fulfill a destiny, we can even jump off a bridge and live through it and live to tell about it. And about 6 months later, I was at the door. I had 3,000 people coming every week at my San Diego ministry. And a very handsome young man came through, and he got a suit on and a beautiful tie. And he said, "You may not remember me, but 6 months ago, I jumped off the 163 bridge, and you were the first one there to wrap me in a blanket of love." And then he mentioned the doctor and the nurse, who he had never seen again. But he went back to university, majoring in psychology and wanting to help those that are not only depressed or clinically depressed, but have things in their life that they need to work through. They need to mature in the energy of their spirituality. That was such a great moment for me. And in all my research, never have I come across a story with this impact, this profundity, and this energy. And the realization that a little boy can be cleaning windshields and ask for support. And when it's denied, give support. This is truly grace. It is grace. It's in its most beautiful form. and the acknowledgement that unless we become as little children, we shall not experience the kingdom of God. Because a little child is trusting. That little child sees through the eyes of love. And the greatest archetype really is that of the child. And the energy of the innocent. And that we go through all 12 archetypes. You know, we begin with the innocent, we go in, then we're disillusioned, we go into the orphan, and then we go into the caregiver, then we go into the warrior, we go into the lover, we go into the sage, we go into the ruler archetype, the magician archetype, which is one of my very favorite archetypes, because the magician archetype transforms the routines of work into celebrations of life and love. And of course the sage archetype, but we go through all 12 archetypes, and we come back to that innocent, to the child, to know that place for the very first time is so profound and has so much substance that we retain our childlike innocence. Though we have experienced all of it, we have suffered, we felt the anguish, the angst of being in the world, feeling the disappointment, feeling discouraged at times, and then to have that magician archetype come in and transform those feelings into celebrations of life and love, that we have deepened the quality of our life. Ride the carousel, reach for the golden ring, never to finish, only to begin again. Life is a circular thing. And life moves, what? In ever-widening circles, imperceptibly small at first, reaching outward toward infinity. It's the ripple effect. So you are going to affect someone in your life today. You may not realize it, you might be out and about, but our energy, we carry the energy with us. We carry our grace, our intuition, be still and know that I am God, that we are co-creators with this higher energy, and the opportunity that we have to make that difference through knowing that the grace of generosity, the grace of love, the grace of the energy of compassion, these are all graces. And we can feel that at such a deep level. And then to go into that intuitive place and to really know, am I my brother's keeper? No, we are our brother. We are our sister. That's what makes all the difference. So on this day, this glorious day, where we're going to have a land blessing and we're going to walk up a little hill that looks like a very sacred mound. It has a pole on it, and I just thought it needs peace flags. And then as we do the land blessing with Terry, Angel, we're sending out this energy throughout the world. So at 1 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time, just tune in to that energy of this land blessing. And we'll put our iPhone on the live feed as well. But just tune in and feel the upliftment, because we're all going somewhere. Where is it? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. Because we are in a high place, and we will not come down. None of these outer things move us. We are in a high place, and we will not come down. And I say to you, namaste. The God in me salutes the God in you, and the God in you salutes the God in me. And if I am in that place in me, and you are in that place in you, there is only one of us. And shalom, God bless us, everyone, the peace that passes all understanding. We are so deeply blessed. Thank you so much. It's such a joy to be here, and I love you all.